The Isle of Skye is truly a mecca for landscape and wildlife photographers. Situated off the west coast of Scotland, it's hard to summarise the special place that this island holds in the hearts of so many people. Just around 1,600 square kilometres in size, it has everything a photographer dreams about, from dramatic mountains to stunning wildlife. Despite spending so much time in northwest Scotland, neither Hannah or myself had visited Skye before this trip, yet it had always been up there near the top of our list of places to photograph in the world. We decided that this year, after all of the events that had taken place in 2020, it was time that we explored the areas of Scotland we hadn't visited before, and set off on a road trip that would include central Scotland, the inner and outer Hebrides, as well as the far northwest. After spending a couple of days unwinding in Fort Augustus near Loch Ness, and exploring the nearby Glen Affric, it was time to set off west through Kintail and cross the Skye Bridge. We would start our journey by spending a few nights on what is surely one of the finest photography locations on this planet, the Isle of Skye. It's my first morning here on Skye, and I knew that the weather was supposed to be clear today, and I thought it might be a nice bit of a sunrise this morning. So what I've done is I've just taken a very quick walk just along the coast from where we're staying. We're staying in an Airbnb which is right on the waterfront, and it's absolutely beautiful. And I had what was for me probably a little bit of a lie-in. I didn't get up until 6, so as a landscape photographer I class that as a lie-in. Bit of a lazy morning, and I literally just walked a few hundred metres along the coast here. And I'm at this point where there's this nice bit of rock that's sticking out into the sea, and I thought it would make a really nice bit of foreground interest with the waves crashing over it. It's not too rough here, but we're still getting a bit of white water as those waves are coming over the rocks. And looking back towards the mainland, there's the mountains of, I think it's Ben Bam and Sgurr, I think, so I've probably pronounced that wrong. But yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Wonderful morning just to get out here. It's calmed down a little bit and just enjoy this place. It's one of the things I love about landscape photography is just sometimes there's that initial slight panic when you're trying to get a shot in the bag, and then once you've got one, you can just calm down and slow down, and it's it's just a beautiful morning. I think we've been quite lucky with the weather this week here in Skye, so fingers crossed we're gonna have a good day today, and we have a good trip. The other thing I should mention is that this morning I thought it would be a good chance to try out the S1R. So I've got the S1R on the tripod rather than our normal 5D Mark III. And certain things which I think, it's a camera which I don't know very well. It's obviously I'm just starting to use it, and when you switch over to a new camera, it takes a little while to get used to the settings. So I'm still at that stage of things a little bit clunky. But there's certain things which I'm really liking about it. Focus peaking, which works really nicely, gives you this red overlay of everything that's in focus. I'm enjoying that. And also you can have a live preview of a constant update of what your exposure will actually look like. Still getting to grips with it, but so far I'm pretty impressed. So when I first turned up here, I originally thought I'd just stick to doing a portrait orientation. And the reason I thought I would do that is because Kind of my main focus really is those mountains in the distance, with the rocks leading up towards it, and I felt that by having it in a portrait orientation it just helped to cut out the distractions either side of those mountains. I didn't want that horizon to be too long in the image, if that makes sense. So that's why I thought a portrait orientation would work a little bit better. I've actually, now that the sun's coming up and it's illuminating these rocks, I actually think that a landscape also works quite well too, so I switched the camera over to do a landscape shot. And the other thing that I'm doing now, it's just a little bit brighter, is I've got a 6-stop filter on, and this is enabling me to do a longer exposure, so I'm doing sort of 10-second exposures at the moment, which is just about right. It doesn't blur the water out into this completely smooth, glassy thing that you get by using a 10-stop filter. It still keeps a little bit of detail in the sea. But I like having that 10-second exposure. So I've got a 6-stop filter on now, a few landscape shots, and I've also zoomed in quite far because I wanted to cut out some of this immediate foreground interest. I still want to keep the focus on those mountains in the distance, and by having it too wide an angle, those mountains start to be lost, they become too small in the image. So I'm actually at about 85 mils on the 24 to 105 mil lens. And yeah, I'm just firing off a few shots, but I think this is probably, after I got these shots, I'm probably going to call it a day, get back. And today we're planning to head over to the other side of Skye for a longer walk. I think whilst the weather's good, we're just going to try and capitalise a bit on the good weather. Today we're heading out to Camasunary Bay, which is this bay just down here behind us, and the plan actually is to cross the bay, and then we're going to go up Stri, which is the hill just the other side of the bay. It's not a big mountain, it's just a small hill really, it's about 487 metres, but the views from the top look just absolutely stunning. I'm hoping maybe some of this cloud is going to lift a little bit later when we get up there, and I'm hoping we'll have a really nice view of the Cuillins, which you can see behind it there. Really looking forward to today. We're not going to be camping up there this evening, we're just there for the daytime. I'm hoping tonight we'll make it back down to Elgol for sunset, and we'll see if we can get an image down there. When we reached Camasunary Bay, the first thing that struck us was just how much plastic had washed up on the beach. Before our trip, we'd watched a film made by Cal Major called Sky's the Limit, in which she circumnavigated the Isle of Skye by stand-up paddleboard to highlight the problems the island faces with oceanic plastic. It was sad to see these effects of plastic pollution in person, and we'd highly recommend watching the film she made. We'll provide a link in the description below. After the beach we had to make a river crossing and couldn't resist filming each other's attempts to cross the river gracefully. It was then time to start our ascent up the mountain. So we've made it up near the top of Sgurr now. I must admit, we went on a little bit of a detour when we were trying to get up here. I decided to just go straight up the mountain, and it got a little bit steep, so we've just traversed round to the other side of the mountain now. But my god, the view here is absolutely stunning. We've got a view down here of Loch Corruisk, and then this whole panoramic of the Cuillins. And it is just stunning. Unfortunately, the cloud is just slightly too low, so it's just chopping off the top of the mountains, which is a little bit of a shame. I think photographically it would have worked better if those mountains were didn't have their tops in the cloud. But I think I'm gonna get the camera out and just see if we can find some compositions to pick out. Certainly I think a shot of the loch itself will work okay. And maybe just pick a few bits of the mountains out with I've only got the 24 to 105mm lens with me because I wanted to try and keep the pack a bit lighter than I normally would have it. But I think even at 105mm, I think we should be able to get some reasonable images. So I've kind of just gone for the first most obvious shot really to start off with, but I'm struggling both because we've got very flat, well we have no light basically, it's very cloudy. The weather forecast for today actually was supposed to be clear skies, which is why we planned to come up here today. So it's a bit of a shame really that the cloud covers so much, because it really is just very flat. And also the clouds are just obscuring the top of the mountains, and so I really kind of feel, I guess, that this is more of a record shot. I'm hoping we can come back here one day and just know, you know, now we know where to come and how to get the view. It's been quite a useful scouting mission really, I think, but I think this first image isn't great, but it's just kind of the obvious shot of the loch. I might though just start sort of spinning the camera around and taking a few sort of close-in shots, or as close in as I can get with this lens, just to see if I can get some more kind of moody, dark mountain shots. That's the thing about the Cuillins, is they're these black mountains. They're called the Black Mountains, and for a good reason, because they are just dark and gloomy, and quite severe looking really. So I'm hoping I'll be able to capture that in this flat light. So I think probably a little bit of a disappointment really in terms of the light this evening, but I think despite that it's just been such a stunning place to come and see, and I'm hoping that some of those sort of close-up shots that I took will have come out quite well and kind of capture the gloominess of this place, because it really is quite a sort of severe landscape. So I'm hoping I've managed to capture that in the images, but I think it's probably time for us to head home. I think we're going to have to give Elgol a miss this evening, because we'll probably actually be walking back in the dark this evening, so maybe we'll make it down there tomorrow night, where again the weather forecast is supposed to be good, but yeah, I'm kind of losing my faith in the weather forecast, to be honest, but yeah, it's absolutely stunning here. We've had a fantastic day, absolutely knackered, so I'm looking forward to getting back and having a nice whiskey this evening. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. We'll have hopefully another couple of videos coming up from Skye, and then we're going to be heading to Harris in a few days as well, so certainly lots more interesting stuff to come, I hope. So hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.